Hello everyone, welcome to Venus Visions, where we dive deep into esoteric, especially divine feminine entities and energies. If those topics interest you, please do subscribe. Welcome back to my Underworld Dark Goddess series. In this second episode, we're going to dive right deep into the Mesopotamian Queen of the Underworld and Goddess Ereshkigal. Oh, I am so excited to talk about Ereshkigal because I've connected with this energy so much around this time, November, September, where here in the northern hemisphere, the earth is going to its own descent into the underworld, and all of us feel it as a collective as well. So, by the way, if you are interested in a tarot reading, I am finally opening it back up to the world. They are very, very, very potent. I don't have to know your name, your story. I don't have to know anything. If you want something specific looked at as well, I can look at that. And also, sensitive time for me because it is a time where, my mom passed away. She was born in October, November, Thanksgiving, her favorite holiday. She loved to cook, and then end of December, was in a hospital, and then passed the first week of January. So it's just a very potent time for me as well. And to connect with this energy, which is energy is connected to grief, it's connected to just feeling that, just like truly being in that. And that is so important in the divine feminine world. And it's one thing that truly, truly like even dove me deeper into this world, because I was very much interested in all these divine feminine energies and learning about the mysteries and traveling and getting to know all the different things. But it wasn't until I went through like true grief and death and I got pulled into my own underworld, right? Where I had to face parts of myself that I wasn't ready for, where I had to like go through a whole ego death, that I really connected with this energy, and I got to learn that actually in a divine feminine spiritual paths, it is actually very important. It's not only acceptable, but it's very important to face these emotions, because we see a lot of spiritual paths or even like manifestation gurus, and they're all about positivity and love and light, and it's beautiful, and being positive is very powerful and it can attract a lot of things into your life. But it left me feeling almost ashamed whenever I had just real raw human emotions, and it just had this weird like push and pull where I'm like, why am I like this? I have to be positive, let me do this, when truly like we are just humans at the end of the day. So that's why I love these mythical stories. And as I mentioned in the first episode in this series, which was about divine Kemetic ancient Egyptian goddess Nephthys or Nephthys, I mentioned the same thing, and you guys can see the similarities in this divine feminine archetype as well as between the two. And you'll find these similarities between so many different cultures and times, and it doesn't matter how long time has passed between them. It's the same archetypical story, and it matches our own inner divine feminine, our own inner. You don't have to be a woman. Our own inner human stories, right? And I love them because it makes you feel like, you know what, it's okay, it's powerful, and it's beautiful. And there's something called sacred rage, which is connected to like Sekhmet or Kalima, and sacred rage is very powerful, and it's been used so much throughout our history. And grief is as well, and just grief and crying and grieving what was old. And that is so natural, and that is not only natural, like I said, in the divine feminine spaces, it is actually encouraged, because when you face these shadow parts of yourself, talking about darkness and shadow, when you face these shadow parts of yourself, and that's okay, I'm not gonna unplug it because I'm in a roll. This time I actually wrote some notes so that I don't go on rambling and like speak about what I want to speak. But excuse me, when you face these shadows of yourself, that is such a prime time for initiation. I feel like the most evolution, the most upgrade I've gotten, whether it's spiritual or physical or just that upgrade, is that when I go through something that is so like deep, my own underworld, but I face it, and it's like that comeback, like after a major breakup or like something like that. So, and us, like, I feel like women can kind of connect with this on a deeper level, or those with more feminine energy, they understand this on a very like potent, like almost ancient level that is like an embedded memory within our own DNA. This darkness, this like there's no more else. There's nothing else under it, right? I'm at the end. There's some sort of freedom of knowing that you're at that bottom of like there's nothing, there's nowhere else to go, right? There's a freedom in that, and in that, if you truly just sit in that and face it, it truly can, oh my God, it can create so much in your life. And so this is when Ereshkigal came into my life, and it made me so interested in this divine feminine path, so much so that I joined like a mystery school because of the teacher was speaking about Ereshkigal. I remember I was driving and I was crying. My mom had just passed away, and I was just like, oh, this person's live. I've never watched them live. They're a YouTuber. I went to watch them, and she was speaking about how actually, death and grief, and it's sacred. It's sacred in our space. It is encouraged. It is accepted, and through that, there's like a choice for you if you choose to. Actually, there's a gift. There's a gift for you. And as I mentioned in the last video, with every death, there's a birth, and with every birth, there's a death. So you must let go of an old in order to be rebirthed. So, anyways, all of this is tied to Ereshkigal because she is the Mesopotamian goddess connected to death, changes, similar to our last video. And she is also the sister of Inanna, which is the queen of heaven. A lot of people know about Inanna. Inanna is they call her the queen of love, the goddess of love and war. But the thing is, she did not become the goddess of war until she went to Ereshkigal state. So Ereshkigal is her sister. Let me give you, there's so many different methodologies and stories. So yeah, Ereshkigal is very much connected to cycles, inner power, letting go, facing yourself, and she is the Mesopotamian sister of Inanna. So let me give you guys a methodology story. There's so many different variations of this story, but the main story that I connect with the most, that's what I'm going to give you, which is when her husband died. Ereshkigal's lover and husband died. By the way, she had multiple husbands, not just one. So I found that interesting because even in other cultures and methodologies, this archetype that represents the underworld and death and grief and all that, she always had a lover. She always had a divine husband and partner. So love is always there. Anyways, so she went to the underworld. So Inanna decided to go visit her sister, the grieving sister Ereshkigal, in the underworld during her husband's funeral, kind of just like, grieve with her. But there's other intentions that Inanna had. So some people say that she went there because she wanted to gain deeper knowledge and secret knowledge, mysterious knowledge of the divine feminine. So that's one variation. So for me, that can represent an evolution. Basically, she wanted to evolve. And so, yeah, she went there all decked out, makeup and jewelry and crown and everything, you name it. I mean, Inanna, the goddess of heaven, right? She came there and she knocked on Ereshkigal's door. And by the way, Ereshkigal has the 7 gates. So she has a companion, a loyal companion, answer the door. He let her know that, hey, Inanna, the queen of heaven, she's here. She's here for the funeral. But she is all decked out and happy and kind of like la la la. And I connected with this part of the story so much because it happened, like I learned about it right when my mom had just died. And I was seeing people like her some so-called friends or even families that were just like, oh, whatever, like they didn't care. And I was like, she did so much for them. She was there for them more than anyone else. And I would say this to like, this person, she was there for me more than my own father and mother. And like, she was, all my cousins would say she was our favorite aunt, and all her siblings would say she's our favorite sister, and but certain people just like, and she was just so giving. My mom was the type of woman that was always so loving and so giving. She had a huge heart, but I was very disappointed because while we were going through grief, some of them were just like celebrating back home. Like they went through the whatever grief, blah blah blah, and then moved right into celebrations and doing all these things that I was furious about. And so right after this, I learned about Ereshkigal's story, and it was the same thing. She was furious when Inanna showed up all decked out and just like, not even like, doesn't even acknowledge it, right? So I was at that stage too, and I totally understood it at that time. she was so angry. She felt so betrayed and hurt, and like, how can you just show up like this? And it could, mind you, these methodologies also connect to the way the stories are told, connect to the society of the time. So this is Mesopotamia, which is older than even ancient Egypt, right? Modern day Syria, Iraq, and the whole area in the Middle East. But so the stories of the archetype, when they say like she came decked out, maybe at the time of this societies that dressing up and wearing jewelry and stuff like that to events such as death or funeral is very disrespectful. And so, yeah, by the way, Inanna is also called Ishtar, so you probably heard either name. Saying how in you hire these people or like your neighbors or your community, everybody comes together as a community, and they usually, the women do not look, like they look very much like they're grieving themselves, not just the person who's going through the grief. So when she showed up to her own sister, imagine her own sister's, she was angry and she was furious. And so, in order to come meet her and come get these secrets, she had to go through the different 7 gates. And with every gate, she had to remove one accessory. I think she was there with a belt, like a very, there's a symbolic belt, like I think it was a gold belt, and then there's a crown, and there's all of that until she is fully naked. So at every gate, in order to pass through that gate, she had to let go of that. And that can represent ego, right? So in order to pass through these different our own subconscious, our own healing, or whatever it is we're going through, you kind of just have to let go parts of your ego, like parts of it, let go until you're fully naked, right? You're ready to face it. So it's just like an onion. You're peeling it until you're ready to face. So that kind of matches our own descent into the underworld on a personal level. At the very end, when she got to the end and she was with her sister, even at that point, fully naked, she got to face the goddess of the underworld. And by the way, she kind of like, she is feared at this time in Mesopotamia. This archetype, at least her stories, Ereshkigal is very much feared. Nobody wants to mess with her. So even the humans are like, oh, don't mess with Ereshkigal. Even at that point, Inanna, tried to play her sister. She tried to sneak her way into sitting at Ereshkigal's throne because it was just sitting there. And I think Ereshkigal was trying to test her in a way. Even at that point where she turned around, Ereshkigal was like running to get that throne, and that's when she killed her. Literally. And the understanding of this story is that, at least for me, and like I said, most of my videos, I like to get the information from a very much from an intuitive place and what they represent on the deeper hidden aspects, and not just what people are saying or repeating. And like I can hear I can read even a book about someone or an entity or an energy, or hear listen to a video, and I'll know, even if I've never heard those things before, I'll just know, I'll just feel whether that information is like BS or whether it's like misunderstood in a way, or it's just like I'm very grateful to have that it's like a talent almost. And it has to do with just being open, having a good intentions, and allowing spirit to work through me, allowing my higher self to kind of speak through me, and tapping into this hidden knowledge and memory that is in our DNA. So if your ancestors were scholars or whatever, all of that can be awakened within your artist, because memory passes down through DNA. So it's not just your genetics, you're literally passing down memory and even like characteristics almost. That's why it's important to like break certain cycles from your bloodline, as they say, because it can get passed down, like whether it's anger or just even mental illness. And this is scientific, so it's not just physical attributes, or people who are who were into sports or talented in that arena. There are studies, and you can see that their descendants can also have the same thing. So for me, I believe this is also true with memory. So a lot of this stuff for me that I connect to on a deeper level, I feel like, I don't know, I just remember almost. And I think it's true for a lot of divine feminine women and men also, but a lot of people who are into this esoteric divine feminine path, at least. So anyhow, that whole idea of Inanna trying to take her throne is for me, it's almost like us, our ego, still trying to trick our brain. So you got down all the way down to your own subconscious mind. So, for example, say you're trying to change something, right? You have to let go of something. There's part of you that you want to face. And so you've been able to face all of it, yet your ego is still, there's still a little part of your ego there that's like, you know what? Maybe you can go there and face it and remove it, and you don't have to die. Maybe you could keep the same self, the same ego, and that just creates transformation. And we know that's not true, because in order to create a transformation and let go of that, that almost has to die. That's the whole point of letting go, right? That's kind of like that's what they call sometimes the death of an old self, or the ego death, or dark night of the soul, right? There's so many words of this, and even people who are not to spirituality and esoteric teachings, they know exactly what I mean. There's this thing that's like, you gotta let it go, right? And that comes with grief, whether it's a relationship, whether it's even an addiction, or even like weight, or like something that you've just been holding on to consciously or subconsciously. When you finally like just face it and just like that, you have to it has to die. And that's the only way it will go. Otherwise, it stays part of you. So it's almost like that ego, right? That ego that's like, no, I'm Inanna. I'm smart enough. I'm different than other humans. I can go in my subconscious underworld and face these shadows of me and let them go, but still remain my own self and take on basically be in control of my subconscious mind completely, my own self. You know, that's kind of like your ego, like, no, I'm in control and I'll do it. I'll be in control of your subconscious mind. Boom. That was said in a beautiful way. Thank you. I hope you got that. I hope you got that. If you didn't, please go back and listen to it again. That was really powerful. And there's so much layers to that, which is like, we do trick ourselves, but it comes from a part of like safety, trying to feel safe. Our ego is something we build in order for us to make ourselves feel safe. So yeah, she did that, and as a result, she had to die. And her sister Ereshkigal, she is the queen of death. How dare she do that to me? How dare she think she can come into my realm where all the demons are actually afraid of her? And what's interesting is that at the time there are, people do believe in demons, and they still do, obviously, and these entities, but like the negative ones, right? And so they would call on Ereshkigal, or they would appease Ereshkigal, or just do some sort of offering for Ereshkigal in order for her to help them with these demons. So she was actually even used like historically in exorcisms where people were possessed by demons, and they would call on this energy of Ereshkigal because. And same thing with Hecate. Maybe our next video will be about Hecate. I was wondering which third one to do, and that makes sense because Hecate, the three triple goddess. I'm just so excited. I love this stuff, and I love this time of year because we get to dive deep. Although it's been very difficult, so don't get me wrong, on a personal level as well. But I love it. I love it. I learned to love the dark parts. I learned to love the descent. I learned to try to sit in it and try to think about why am I feeling this way? Why am I going through? Oh, I can't wait. And sometimes even think about who I'm going to be once I get out of that. So I know before every big glow up, also, a lot of people teach this. And if you listen to a lot of manifestation videos and things about not just manifestation or spiritual things, but even videos about motivation and people, evolving and taking care of themselves and self-love and self-development, they always say like before a major like breakthrough, a major next up level, a lot of things will look like they're falling apart. And this is the exact ancient story that's been going on in our collective consciousness, and it keeps happening to us, and it happened to our ancestors, and it happens to us as a collective story as well, which is that you have to go through that darkness, right? You should face it. You don't have to, but you should, because when you do, it's very sacred, and you can really evolve, and you can really let go of like things that might have even came with you from generations, right? Um, And working with Ereshkigal while doing this has really helped me a lot because I did it in such a loving way, in such a compassionate way, and it made me feel like that's okay. I'm in grief. Today I want to stay in bed and I just want to cry and I'm gonna face it and that's okay. And I'm angry at myself. Sometimes I'm like, I'm angry at myself because I said this to my mom and I didn't say that, and I'll face myself, and then eventually it turns into just this compassionate self love um, thing. So, or like, you know what, this person that said this and I'm not happy with it, and that's okay, and I can like acknowledge that about myself. I don't have to pretend like it's not true, or pretend like, oh no, or shame myself into why did I do this and create more resistance, which does not help any manifestation to come through. So that's the one thing where I disagree with a lot of manifestation coaches, is that they tell you to clear resistance, but then to be positive. But then when you're going through something that's so potent, such as death and grief, that's the power of death and grief. And it just, her energy helped me connect with myself and to face myself and to allow her to just kind of like hold me. Like I said, at this time, I also joined like this Divine Feminine Mystery School, which for me there was a lot of gates that we had to go through, a lot of initiations, and one of them had Ereshkigal, which there was like a whole meditation where you go down and you face yourself. Is almost like your conscious self, and you're facing your child self, and your child self is literally being held by her as like a mother, and like you let your child self just grieve, right? And let her to grieve, and yourself, you're witnessing it, and whatever she says, you grieve with her. So anyways, let me go back to the story because I wasn't finished. I just got reminded. So when she killed her sister, put her up, she was very much still in pain and still hurt and in grief, and like, how could she do this to me? And their fathers, their sisters, their father from above sent a creature of compassion. It's either one creature or two creatures. I can't remember at the top of my head. Yeah, I know so many different methodologies. Apologize. I'm sorry. I'm only human at the end of the day. Okay. I believe it was two creatures, and like tiny little creatures of compassion, or it could just be one. So he had a whole plan in order to get Inanna back to the earth because, whoop, these things are flying from here. Oh my god. He wanted to get Inanna back into the world because, people are like, oh my god, the earth, everything is dry now. Where's the goddess of the earth? Where's abundance? Where's the fruits? Where's all of this? So he sent down, he knew exactly what Ereshkigal needed. And so when she would cry, whatever she cried, they repeated after her. So she was like, my heart hurts. They repeat about her, oh, her heart hurts. Oh, just being super compassionate and witnessing her, allowing her, if she felt a certain way, they would repeat it after her, and they would be like, yes, yes, we're here. Until she was able to just finally let all of it go, and layers and layers and layers of grief. And then eventually she surrendered the body of her sister, Inanna, and she gave it back to these creatures, where they brought her back up to the earth, and whatever happened up there, and then Inanna came back. And for me, I feel like Inanna did not become, Ishtar did not truly become who she is until she had to go through this descent. I think before then she was kind of like a maiden energy, and it was because of this descent of like she actually had to go to the underworld in order to come back and be that. And the same thing with Aset. We saw the same thing with Aset, which is the goddess Isis from ancient Egypt. It wasn't until she grieved and she cried for Osiris, and they said that her tears turned into the Nile River, that she was able to truly like become that. And that can reflect our human archetype, our whoever, even ourselves, is that, you know what? And you notice it with people who have gone through so much. They have choices. Everyone has a choice. Some people can either like allow that to make them like really make them. You can just see it in them. They have a lot of wisdom. They walk the earth with just like a lot of wisdom. They have a lot of self confidence. A lot of them become very successful or just resilience. They are self, preserving, and they choose themselves, and you can just tell the person has just been through a lot. And there are some people who kind of just give up. They've been through so much that it was difficult. Or they can fall into addictions that keep them from facing fully Inanna, so they can be stuck, facing Ereshkigal, so maybe they can be stuck in the different gates, not letting go of these comforts or these ego addictions or whatever it is in order to face whatever needs to be faced. So I hope that resonates with you. See if I missed anything, because like I said, I did write down things that I want to say, but as usual, I didn't read any of it. I just spoke, and now that I'm done, let me go back just to make sure I wrote everything. So yeah, she's connected to darkness. Some of her symbols: skull, thrones, gates, underworld, rivers, colors. I did put a stone here. As you can see, I'm wearing black. I got my black nails, but she's connected to black, obviously. Deep red, violet. Numbers. Her number is sacred number is 7. I love this number because it's connected to the divine feminine as well, and it's also connected to my own tribe in Morocco, my mother's tribe. And the number 7 in my country is just a very spiritual, very, very, very spiritual number. Oh yeah, some modern practices associate her with Wednesday, because Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. I love Mercury as well because I'm a Virgo. So we're ruled by Mercury. Also number 9, because it has to do with transformations and endings. So this is actually a number 9 year, and we're going through the end of the number 9 year before we move into the next year. So a lot of theme right now, if you notice with your own life and with a lot of people probably watching this as well, a lot of people in the world, is that there's a lot of endings of cycles. So this is like her perfect time for her to come out at the number 9 year. Interesting enough, I connected with her in the number 7 year as well. So at this point of time, especially at this point, we just entered December and the dark underworld, and so her energy is very potent if you want to connect with her. I didn't write this down, but I wanted to mention it. She's connected to lapis lazuli. That's kind of like her sacred stone. We love lapis lazuli on this channel because it's connected to the divine Aset, which is Isis, and it's just a very divine, feminine, and mysterious stone. And I need to get another one because I don't know what happened to my lapis stone. A lot of my stones just like disappear. She had multiple husbands and counterparts. Basically, Ereshkigal teaches that embracing shadow and endings is the gateway of transformation. So you embrace it, like I said in the video, just to embrace those endings. Embrace the shadow can be a gateway into major evolution. And also to obviously divine feminine power, or just it doesn't have to be a female, by the way, it could be a male. Ereshkigal is such a powerful goddess. Like I always say, like even in the last video, people kind of know the light counterpart, but they kind of almost forget. But it's intentional. It's not just forgotten. A lot of these goddesses like to stay just hidden, right? And they're not accessible to just everyone. So it's up to you. If you choose that path, and if you choose to be brave and to end cycles that have gone through maybe your bloodline, or just cycles that have gone through the collective consciousness of whether it's like cycles that we went through as women, right, or cycles that we went through as humans, or as wherever we're from, or whatever culture. There's so many like cycles that it's good to break them at this time, and it takes a lot. So it has to be like someone who's really ready to take on those responsibilities. In order to do so, you go through a lot, and so the goddess is here to let you know that it's okay, and to give you compassion, and to light the way for you, and to remind you that it is a sacred time, and through this pain, there's going to be a lot of fruition that come to life. So yeah, let me know below if this resonates with you. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for your support and love, and your last comments. I'm going to respond again to all of them in this video. I love our little community. Love you all. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, if you're interested in getting tarot readings by me, yes, of course I do tarot readings. What do you think? I'm an oracle from North Africa, from Morocco, and my tarot readings are very potent. I have not opened it up to the world in many years. I have my own specific base group of clients, and they always come back, or they would like tell a friend, and before they even tell their friend, they come to me, because eventually we're going to have a website, and we'll have bookings there. Everything can just be in one place, professional, clear, easy, and simple. But for now, since we are still, like I said, my first time giving it up, you guys book via email. I'll leave the email down for you. I'll be doing the readings via voice notes, and I'll be sending them to you via email. And you can ask me anything you want, or you can just say general. I'm glad that people enjoy them and love them, and so I like to open it up for my viewers, supporters. If you guys are interested, we are booking for readings. All right. Thank you all so much for your support. Bye bye.